Welcome to the Wellness in Asheville podcast, where we shine a light on the people, practices, and places that make this city one of the most inspiring wellness communities in the country. I'm your host, Travis Richardson, founder of Be Well Asheville, your local news source for health, wellness, and community events. All right. So in today's episode, I sit down with Daniel Ratner, one of the co-founders over at Drip Sauna. And Drip Sauna, if you haven't been out there, is Asheville's first and only wood-fired sauna and cold plunge experience. And so we talk a lot about community building on this episode, but we also talk about the epidemic of loneliness on this one. And I mentioned how 60% of Americans report feeling lonely, and it's just really sad. I find it fascinating that in such a connected world, we are all feeling like we want something more than what we have, something different, at least than what we find on social media. And in this episode, I also share a story that I've never, ever shared before. It's a deeply personal story about something that happened to me spontaneously during my divorce. And so if you want to find out what that little juicy nugget is, you're going to have to listen on. And lastly, I just want to share that since I started Be Well Asheville and the Wellness in Asheville podcast, I've just been so blessed to have community forming around me. And I just realized how sometimes you have to be the one to go out there and make it happen. Often you've got to be proactive. And when you do, sometimes you find out that the universe meets you halfway. And people start showing up like they have for me. I believe that you have the power to create the life, the world that you want. And that starts with the people that are right here in front of you right now today. Just how you show up means everything. All right. So today on the show, we have Daniel Ratner with Drip Sauna here to talk about all things community. How you doing, Daniel?
I am doing very well. Actually, just got out of the cold plunge myself. I needed to do some grounding, and I was like, all right, I'm getting on this conversation with Travis. Let's write it. Let's right the ship a bit. So did a quick sweat. So feeling good.
Nice. Yeah. Cold plunges really are like the most, the easiest way to wake the body, wake the cells, wake the mind up for sure. Yeah, I had recently had an opportunity to, I came out for the Friday 3-hour session, and man, I had an amazing time. I just want to say thank you right off the bat for putting on such an amazing event. I mean, just for the listeners, that Friday event there was an instructor, really awesome instructor from Hot Yoga Asheville there, leading a yoga session. There was massage therapy. There was also a DJ playing some reggae music, which is my favorite genre of music. And then, of course, I roasted marshmallows after the sauna and cold plunge with some new friends. So it was really awesome, man.
Wow. That was our Drip After Dark. And I'm stoked that reggae is your favorite, because that was an epic experience too, with the speaker system set up. And yeah, it's been sweet exploring and finding a balance as to what feels good to us. As one of the co-founders with Drip, I work closely with Evan, and feeling what feels good and what kind of comes into our path. Like folks that are excited about what they're doing, we're very open to collaborating, and not everything has to be like a crazy success. Like, let's just be curious and experiment.
I think as an entrepreneur, that's one of the hardest things to do, is to experiment, because you're so, like for me, I've had times where I'm like being really cautious, and I guess in prior experiences, I've felt that way. In my current thing, I'm like, test and iterate fast, because you don't want to like hang on to something that's not working, right?
Yeah. I think one of the things that has aided both of us, we both have full-time jobs. So that sense of ease is really important. Like, we're creating a sauna and cold plunge business where ease and like a sense of relaxation is critical. If we didn't have that going into it, I think foundationally it would be felt when people arrive on the space. So being able to grow with the sense of easefulness, with thoughtfulness, with that curiosity, has been like really has made it more fun too, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really, I mean, both of you having full-time jobs, able to support the business and grow it and do some things you wouldn't be able to do without. That's, seems to be, yeah, I had a gym business back in the day and I quit my job a little early, let's say. So got really into kind of a hole where I'm like, depending on every dollar coming in. And I'm like, summertime came around. I'm like, oh my God, let's see if we can get through this season. Hold my breath. Uh,
Yeah, that's a tightrope to walk.
so today's talk, we talked about different themes, and I initially was like, let's talk about biohacking because that's like one of my things I'm into. I'm like a geek on longevity science, and then you kind of was like, you're kind of like, let's that's cool, but like really like to talk about community because that's feels most important. Why did you suggest that?
So I also appreciate a good biohack. Like I love some good like 48 hour, 72 hour, 96-hour water fasts and bulletproof coffee and finding out the right duration of time to be in the sauna to get the growth hormone pumping off. But it seems when I'm thinking of what has been a critical part for me and for Drip, um, it's been coming back to the question of like, how do we want to build and how do we want to grow? And community has just really become a organic pillar of how we're answering that question and what direction we're taking it. What's also been really sweet too is we're getting active direct feedback from folks. Like it feels really great to when we started doing Sunday Sauna Social. It was about a month and a half after the hurricane, and we were kind of our attentions were split between like, okay, there's tourism and then there's locals. How do we attract both? All right, let's figure out strategies. And the hurricane made that very clear that okay, let's focus on locals. There's no
Yeah,
tourists happening here.
yeah.
Um, and it was like we were able to open up our space. We're on well water, so once we got power back, we could offer showers and we had like first responders come up, and it was just like we had the resources to make it really simple for a lot to enable people to fill their own tanks a bit rather than continuously giving out to others, which
Mm-hmm.
I felt like was such a different dynamic. And I'm kind of like spinning off of this, but thinking of like COVID, I felt, and I was living in Brooklyn, that the sentiment was like like they have more. People have more. That's like I need more myself. Where experiencing Helene in Asheville, it was, oh, I have more to give. I have so much. Like, what can I be doing to provide? Like that shift is really beautiful, and I think we come at by following that, like we recognize our tank is very low or our energy is low, and then we lower ourselves on that priority list, and ultimately we're running on E. So this is like a sweet way to get folks back, and then like yes, get an incredible sweat, have that power of heat and that power of ice, but then like drop in with somebody else, and like it was there were so many releases that were happening.
Yeah, my experience with, I don't know what it is about this kind of getting together with others, like going through this experience together feels very primal. I mean, I know when I had like some of my most important experiences spiritually were in a sweat lodge, and it's very much like that. It obviously has a different feel to it, but it is the same kind of spiritual experience about getting together with others in this space where you got to kind of figure out how this is going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's beautiful too. And I think there's like one thread I want to hit on at some point is like going back to that primal power of it. But what I think is also really sweet about sauna and then this culture is there's space along the spectrum of if you're feeling very social, if you're feeling very insular. and like it fits the bill for both. Like I remember we had one of our first music events up here, and like someone showed up, and I spoke to them after. They're like, "Oh, I was not feeling social at all. Like I did not want to even like make eye contact with other people." And they were able to go into the sauna, like drop into their space, like feel really good, and then kind of come out refreshed. But like offering that up and inviting that, I think is a beautiful thing that's relatively rare in a day to day outside of
Mm-hmm.
sauna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really like, I was reading some statistics because I knew we were going to talk about community, and I was like, what should I do research on to prep for today? And one of them was, of course, loneliness. And I was looking at some data, and like, I mean, we're like at 60% of Americans report feeling lonely. And I think about lots of even things that you can do that are healthy for yourself, like go to a fitness class or even go do yoga. Or there's lots of things where you go do the thing and you leave and you don't really get an opportunity to talk with somebody. And I just feel like this small group, I think 6 people is your
Mhm.
limit to go into a sauna, but it's so easy just to like start talking to somebody if you want to. Like it's so easy to make a friend there.
Mm. Yes. I think what I've one of the things I've thought about too is how like we're a lot more permeable in the sauna. Like we're sweating out of all our pores. Like physically we're permeable, and also like mentally we're permeable too, where the conversations can get deep very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times when you're in the sauna and there's like chatter happening that it doesn't feel very good, and it's a little bit more visceral or frustrating, whatever it is, more quickly, because you're like, oh, you feel it and you don't want to feel that. Um, and that's when the Lolu comes into play, where one of the benefits of that is like you have that heat, you have that steam, you can represence, you can clear the space. Uh, but I think there's like a lot of beautiful ways to think about community, about intentional conversations, about a light invitation on gratitude or presence or connection, and basically just kind of like creating the invitation but not programming it very
Mm-hmm.
much, letting the heat, letting the environment speak for itself, because that's how it's been done for ages.
Right. I feel like and there's so many ways in our world and in our lives where it's structured around 1 hour blocks.
Yeah.
Everything is either a 30-minute or 1 hour block of time. And it's really nice to go to a place and not have that. And obviously, there's, you know, like when I was there, I had no idea what time it was. I was like, because I left my phone in my bag, and I'm like, I have no idea what time it is. It could be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, no clue. And it felt really good because it's been a long time since I didn't know what time it was. I always know what time it is. uh, so, have you had any troubles, or not troubles, but any? Um, I guess what have been the or have you had any obstacles around creating community that you didn't foresee? Or like what have you learned through that whole process of trying to bring people together?
Mm. Still learning, of course.
What's left? What's left to
Yeah,
learn?
yeah. I What comes to mind is like we've created something really we we like to make decisions that are based on like what feels right, and in terms of like our integrity, and what feels good in terms like heart-centered decisions that ideally create these welcome spaces that are kind of maintained with authenticity and warmth. At the same time, like Evan and I are two white guys, so like there's but just by default we're going to attract, and our messaging is going to attract people that are like us. So recognizing that, like, for sister circles, bringing in women who can curate incredible spaces. For BIPOC community events, we're having our first one in 2 weeks. That is like an exclusive BIPOC oriented event. It's like understanding where our limits are and creating community, and maybe not even trying to like stretch past it, like knowing where, and then inviting more in, which is supporting more collaboration and community.
Mm. Yeah, that I saw that on there, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." I'm glad you were reaching out to other folks and really bringing them in, because I do feel like so much of wellness tends to be like your stereotypical, yoga, white girl yoga kind of thing,
Mhm.
just for lack of a better description. So really good to see that. I myself I'm like trying to figure out how can I also be more inclusive, and what can I do to help some of the underserved experience wellness in different ways. So awesome there.
Yeah, still learning, and yeah, I'll just end with that. Still learning and still curious, and like try to kind of like tiptoe around things, but ultimately, like I think just having conversations about where we are uncomfortable and creating community opens up an opportunity for learning and just like a space for growth.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. And I didn't really ask you how this vision even came to be. Actually, I remember you talking about when I was asking you originally on our first call. I think you mentioned that you were hiking with Evan, and you just like were randomly like thinking ideas. Or tell us that story again of how this came to be.
Yeah, so Evan and I and our two dogs, Scout and Mowgli, we pretty much built a relationship going hiking, letting the dogs kind of just like run wild on miscellaneous hikes, and finding different rivers to do some breath work around and cold plunge in. Evan is an incredible builder and craftsman, so a few of those hikes, he suggested that we do some bushcrafting and
Nice.
basic. Hey, how can we create something that could be like a fun little offshoot? If someone goes off the hike, they might just stumble upon something cool, like a bench or like a little like alcove area. So we did some bushcrafting, and then that kind of like run into this idea of, okay, what would make this like this experience better at the end of the hike, at the end of cold? What could we do? Oh wow, it'd be so great to go into like a nice hot sauna. How beautiful
Yeah.
it would be, like over the Blue Ridge, or so the that was the idea. And then we decided, like, okay, let's like figure this out. We both felt good about what we could bring to the table for that, and took a trip out to West Virginia to meet with Almost Heaven, which is the sauna manufacturers. Check out the floor, meet the folks there, get a sense of how they operated, and we're like, all right, let's go for it. So built the saunas directly onto trailers, decked out the trailers. Again, like a lot of the beauty and the build is Evan's keen eye and his ability. Um, and that was really where we started. And but what we found is we also really enjoy curating a space, and that's lost in the delivery. Deliveries are hard work too. It's a highly labor intensive thing, wear and tear on the sauna. Um, so we started to shift into like, all right, how can we invite folks to our space and just kind of continue to up level and up magic it.
Yeah, and you can actually rent out the entire space, right? Like a business could rent out the whole space, or a person could.
Yeah, we've got businesses. I think we found a niche in 40th birthday parties.
Oh, so
Perfect,
nice.
the perfect one, or some post wedding events. I had my baby shower up there. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's sweet.
that's so cool. Well, how many so prior to all this, had you done sauna a lot? Were you a regular sauna goer, or like what was your first experience with sauna?
One of I lived in Brooklyn, so the Russian Turkish bathhouse in the Lower East Side is like the
Nice.
epitome of the experience. I remember walking through it one time, and I like all of them are crowded, and like, oh wow, there's nobody in this one. Perfect. I'm gonna go like hang out in there. I walked in, and I think within 3 seconds, my nose hairs were gone. And I walked out. I was like, this is unbearable. Um, the experience was great. And I would say the other most notable one was when I was traveling through Japan and experienced an onsen for the first time. And I decided to go into the sauna, and I was like, okay, I just chose. I was the only white guy there. Chose a random guy sitting there. I was like, all right, I am not going to leave until this guy leaves. Like, we're gonna feel it out. And I happened to choose the most like steadfast man. I was sitting on the bench. So by the time he got out, I like quickly got out, and I was like feeling like a dehydrated raisin. Like in the process of like you shower off and you like get that cool water on you and then back into the pools. There was such a sense of bliss and euphoria. It was like, all right, this is an absolute medicine across cultures with similar themes yet different kind of modalities on how they do it. So it was a part of my life, not a major part, but something that had left an imprint.
Yeah, that I have experienced a couple different things like that as well in some of my travels, and it really left me thinking how in the U.S. we don't have a lot of ritual around anything that has to do with health and wellness. It's just we have such a failure rate with all of our attempts at dieting and even exercising in gyms in a formal way. And like I'm a big fan of gardening for exercise. I think it's one of the best forms of exercise you can do. And I'm a newer sauna goer, but the more I do it, the more I'm like, I will forever do this. I hate it to go without it. Like when I travel and I don't get to do my regular sauna, we have an infrared sauna here at the house, and I'm like, I swear by it. I feel so much better when I'm in it. I just chug a ton of water, and I feel like I'm just water in, water out, and there's just this flush, and I really, really enjoy it. So what's the coolest story you have around personal growth / transformation through experiencing sauna in the way that you provide it?
Yes. I I would say the cold is the transformation for me that comes to mind. I think I don't have a specific like thing that was happening in life, but I have moments when there's been maybe large events at Drip or a lot of stuff happening in life, and I'm like very in my head. Just today, I was like making small talk with one of the fire tenders, or just greeting and saying hi, and you're like, oh, how are you? I was like, oh, I'm feeling very here up in my chest and like head, and I really want to be grounded. But when that pressure gets high, and I've like went into the heat, come out and into the plunge, one of the, like two things have happened. One, I'll go fully under, and one of the first times I did that was when we were actually set up right by the French Broad during the winter. So there's snow on the ground, and went under the water, and I could like hear my heartbeat just absolutely slow down and drop from being in the heat when it's like boom, 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 to then boom, boom, boom. And when I came and I rose up out of the water, the first thing I heard were just like the light trickling of the water and like a few little like late night birds. And it became it was a tangible feeling of the stress that I have is like peeled off of me. Like there's this spaciousness where I am no longer identifying with the mind. It's still there, but there's clarity of it not being me, which is so beautiful, and really grateful for that.
Yeah, I have that same experience because there's nothing else I can think about or concentrate on other than like talk about driving yourself inward, right? Like that's what the cold does. And I think even combining that with like breath work too, that is I think is it Wim Hof that is kind of the famous guy that does these combination of the two of those things. And yeah, like really combining those drives somebody just into a different state of being. So
Do you have a moment that comes to mind?
yeah, I was like thinking as I asked that, I was like, what is my moment? I don't have, I would say I don't have a specific moment, but um, I will share an experience that is okay. This is really interesting. I'll share this. I've never shared this ever. During my um divorce, this is many years ago, had this it was summertime, and I got in my car, and it was really hot, and I was like, I don't know, and I was feeling horrible, so I was very emotional. Was like crying every day. I mean, just really not doing okay, and the car was hot, and I was like, okay, and I just instinctively turned the hot air, like the heater on, in addition. And I sit in this hot car. I mean, it's summertime, like literally like in Iowa, July. I mean, 100 degrees at least in there. I put the heat on top of that, and I have no idea how. And I just sat there and cried, and I sweat, and I cried, and I sweat. Um, and that was not intentional in terms of like, oh, I'm gonna go like sweat it out. Like there was none of that. It was literally I was grasping for anything that could move me into a different emotional state. And that did. That did. It was the only time where I felt like a sense of relief. Um, and yeah, that stuck with me. I've never told that story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it actually, like, it, I feel like one of the powers of the heat, and I've been there, not in the hot car turned up, but like that space of pain and grief, um and like going towards and embracing the grief is where that beautiful, like the beauty is, and that release is. And I think that heat is one of the things that like helps move us there. It's kind of like like a sweaty lubricant to like
Yeah.
move us softer towards that pain. Um, while the ice, I feel like for me is like truth. It's like cutting
Mm.
and adds clarity, and also kind of like you know how you feel, but you like it like cleans it a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good description. And they are two different experiences completely. Yeah, and the going back and forth. By the way, I really enjoy that too. The ability to go from hot to cold, hot to cold. I think 3 times is all that I can do, and I'm like tapped out. But it's
Yeah,
yeah. So
love it.
back to community a little more. So our culture is obviously pretty divided right now, and um, seems like it's becoming more divided. And I was sharing earlier today about how I was at the checkout counter at a grocery store, and a random clerk was like grilling me on politics, on what side I was on. And I was like, I just refused to get involved in it. I'm like, I'm not playing that game. But I guess, what do you feel? I mean, I guess, what are your thoughts about how Drip is helping to kind of mend some of the divide that we're experiencing?
I mean, we're in a space where things have just become black and white, good or bad. And like just thinking of my family or my parents, who a lot of the time are very open-minded people, very loving people, but don't want to have conversations with people that are like that voted for Trump. Like they don't want to, like they will refuse. They're just like, we don't want to put our energy towards that, which is closing the door on incredible people, like just people that are fantastic humans that disagree on a political spectrum.
Yeah.
um, I think that one of the most important things that Drip does, or any place that invites like warmth and authenticity, is you're able to like see people and like there's just like create softness and potentially be reminded that there's nuance here, and there's like we're not just one thing, but there's like a whole lot of gray, which is where we play in. And if that's the thing that I like to just kind of like come back to is like if it's like too simple, it's probably not right, or like this black and white or good and bad is not helpful. And there's so much beauty in that gray and in that nuance, and you lose curiosity too. So very verbose way of stating that I feel like just being able to connect with other humans, and maybe you have you learn about someone in the sauna, or you learn about one of their opinions in the sauna that you do disagree with and you're normally defensive about, but you might be in a more open state to be curious, and that could then propel more curiosity or more discussion or more compassion towards people that there's disagreements. And that's where the divide is an unwillingness to meet. So hopefully we can bridge that.
Yeah. And finding experiences that have nothing to do with what side of a political spectrum you happen to fall on. I think we need more of those. I honestly think this whole idea of it's like a tribal thing where it's like either you're part of our tribe or you're not, and if you're not, then you're just by default the enemy. And I always like to think of things in terms of like let's see things not in terms of a divided viewpoints, but like just that there's lots of ideas in the world, and be curious about why somebody thinks the way they do. They're just an idea, like, and that idea can come and pass, and new ideas can form. So
yeah, agree. And I'm thinking of like tribalism is so appealing to be a part of the tribe. And then you like the statistic of 60 Americans report feeling lonely. The lonelier we feel, the more swiftly or the more apt we are to grab towards something that will make us feel part of something.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and then that tribalism gets more dangerous. I would say one of the other beauties of a wellness practice is being able to start to kind of separate feeling lonely and then being alone, and feeling really becoming comfortable with ourselves and that space and wherever that mind runs, but being okay being in that space with ourselves and being okay being alone. I know when I've personally felt like I've felt lonely and I've felt like, all right, let me like reach out or let me try to like connect from this. I'm like, all right, let me like slow down. That's like, let's work to find comfort in myself right now. And then from a place of feeling more whole or feeling just better, then I'll reach out and connect.
Right. Yeah, the times I felt the loneliest in my life were the exact times where I didn't do enough of that reaching out and enough of that. I think it's like if somebody's listening on here now, there's a 60% likelihood that there is. Like my encouragement is to know that there's somebody that cares about you, because that's just the truth. So you have two upcoming events. One is a men's event, and the other is for the ladies, a women's event. And I know for me, when I've been involved in men's groups, it's really filled kind of a hole for me. I know I don't know what your experience is as a man, but sometimes it's really hard to bond with other men. I feel like a lot of times, just from a man's perspective too, I see like my women friends often will be like going and doing things, and there's women's retreats, and there's just a lot more stuff, I feel like sometimes. And I'm always like, as a man, like, where's my things? And so it's really cool to see that you've got a men's group. Where did that come from? And are you like, what's your experience around as a man feeling that, or have you ever felt that way?
Yes. So starting with my experience with men's groups came when I moved to Asheville. And I would say one of my first times was just like doing some exercises at a at the Firefly gathering, and I was like, cool, I'm curious about this. Let me check this out. And the first exercise was to eye gaze for 3 minutes into another man's eyes, and then from there do some type of like wrestling practices. And oh my God, my heart was just so opened. It was so refreshing, and one of these things that I felt like I needed, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. Like this desire for brotherhood, not just like going to the bar, catching up over like while a football game's playing, but like some depth or intention. So I've had generally strong experiences. It kind of like oscillates based on where I am outside, like in other parts of my life. Just most recently, I was just texting Taylor Johnson, who's facilitating this. My last text to him was missing some brother time. Could use some more men / competition in my life. So like I'm ripe. I'm ripe for this type of connection again too. Maybe it's I just had a baby, so there's this like there's this desire for that. So I think it's a really beautiful thing. Coming back to Drip, yeah, we started with women's and sister circles. I took Taylor's class, his orgasmic mastery class, right before or as I was going through my divorce, and it absolutely changed my life. It just elevated me on all fronts. It like reframed how I thought about sex, how I thought about pleasure, and done in such a grounded way. Every chance I get, I'm like really excited to talk about it because it just was mind blowing. So he's facilitating this workshop with some of the most recent work that he's done around somatic movement and really understanding the nuance of body movement and body position and how it plays into our psyche and our energy, alongside interwoven with all his other kind of master class work too.
Cool. Well, I like to put his stuff into the show notes as well, and make sure I make a special mention of that. That sounds really cool. I think, yeah, it'd be something for me to maybe check out as well at some point.
Yes.
And then you've got so you've got the women's and the men's.
And then the sister circles were actually started. So we're like a true family business. So my wife, Julian, like heads up our marketing and partnerships and social. And she's just a badass. She also teaches yoga. So she facilitates all of the yoga teachers here too. She'll be teaching again very soon, even though we had a baby 46 days ago. And then Sunflower, Evan's wife, she started the sister circles with two and now one of her dear friends, and they do an incredible job facilitating and creating a space where, again, just like I think on the community side, as a man, I don't think about this, but the value of having a space that is only for women. So it was also a good recognition the first time they had it. We had one fire tender who was female, but she wasn't available then. So I was there holding it down, and the feedback was, hey, it was great. You did a great job, but it would be really nice if we can get female fire tenders for these like closed female sister events. And now we have 3 women that work at Drip. So that's one of the kind of ways that we really help keep a tight container for these types of events that feels really good.
Yeah, that's great that you're offering that. I've also thought about offering some kind of a women's only networking or entrepreneur kind of group too, just because I feel like then again, I'm like, would that be me leading it as a man? As a man, how would I don't know. Maybe it would be accepted, maybe not, but I could try. Talking about about building community, what do you feel is the secret sauce? Like what really makes it work?
The first the first thing that came up was an open mindedness. When I say that, I think of just saying a lot of yeses to the invitations that come or the collaboration that can come. I'd also say like not being we're not really fearful of like trying something new that won't work, whether it's like bringing a new musical guest up there, or a DJ, or a body worker who reaches out. Like relatively, it's like table stakes. Like there's it's nice to create an experience that already offers a ton of value. Like it's $30 to enjoy yoga followed by open sauna with live music, with cooperative coffee that is there with our partnership from there. Um, so it's like, cool, let's play. We could like wiggle within this space and dance around and see what feels good. So let's say open-mindedness, curiosity, and then I think just like an authenticity, and ease. If we were really, we're a business. We want to continue growing. We want to be profitable. At the same time, that's not what's driving us. Finding a way to fill every seat, every little sauna space is not our core mission. Our hope is that like by creating a space that people feel welcome to, that helps them connect with themselves, with their community, with nature, it will just naturally propel success. And that's really what guides us.
Yeah. What are your plans for the coming year or two? Yeah. What changes do you feel like you are on board?
Yeah. It's a good one. Evan and I were just meeting over coffee today, and always kind of do like these blue sky. A big part would be expanding where we currently are and like finessing the space even more, creating like a really beautiful, larger type of sauna, which again is fun because then I've already thought about like when I've been in some saunas and there's cross conversation because there's too many people in there, it diminishes the experience. So how can we think of space breaks that diminish that? But there's figuring out ways to create a food forest around the space that we have, maybe turning and up leveling some of like the stage so we can have better performances up here. That's the immediate. And then from there, maybe we just figure out ways to kind of like spread the good word as to how you can build the kind of like a lesson on how to build community. But we still need to refine that lesson plan.
Have you ever thought of any other different kind of service offerings? Or I know you have like, I saw there was a massage therapist coming in. It almost feels like you could have lots of different things. I mean, it really feels like you could have any kind of wellness service paired with this. You do probably cacao ceremonies, sound healing, all these things are possibilities, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's opportunities that like for sound healing, we can definitely do. There's just places we want to keep refining. But the yes and to your question, like absolutely.
Sure. The reason I'm asking is because if there's a listener on here right now that is in the wellness space and they have something to offer or want to reach out to you to see if they can provide their services, like how would they do that?
Big thumbs up on that. Give us an email, hello@drip-sauna.com. We also have a little form online where you can put more detailed around collaboration interests. But literally after our Sunday socials, when we're announcing and welcoming everyone to the space, it is an open invitation. If you have an interesting collaboration idea or you provide some type of wellness modality and you think it could be an interesting fit, reach out.
Perfect. So I've got a couple last questions here on or you specifically, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So these are rapid fire style, so just kind of short answer format. So one wellness habit that you never skip.
Bulletproof coffee and intermittent fasting in the morning.
What time do you fast to?
Probably 2 p.m. 2 p.m. But I'm including like drinking the MCT and the oil and the Kerrygold butter in my coffee.
Nice. God, I just can't get to. I've tried to get to 2. I can't do it. What? So do you do like a 1 meal or 2 meals a day, or like what is your eating strategy?
At that point I just eat.
You just let it go.
Snack and yeah.
Right. Nice. That works. What's one tip for saunaing for those that want to come try out Drip? What's one tip they can use?
Wear a banya hat and take deep breaths.
What's the banya hat do?
The banya hat is or a bath hat is a wool hat that is in the shape of kind of like you feel like a tulip when you put it on. And it protects the head from like the high heat. So it's kind of counterintuitive. Usually you wear hats to warm up. This actually modulates the temperature a little bit or moderates it. So you can stay in there longer and also protect the scalp.
Nice. And the breath?
And the breath, while it might be quite hard in the high heats, that's the beautiful way to focus and just drop in and focus on the deep belly breaths, which I was reminding myself to do during this conversation.
I'm always reminding myself. The breath is something that constantly, I'm always like, oh yeah. And I don't know if you saw, but I was like straightening my spine like 3 or 4 times during the call already because posture and breath are like the two things. Well, okay. So and then you have a special offer for the listeners of this podcast. Can you tell us about what you're offering up to guests?
Yes. We've got a promo code for 25% off, whether it's used on community sessions, which we have that run Monday through Saturday, as well as Sunday morning. You can use them for that, or private sessions, which could really happen any day during the week.
Awesome.
And that is, Be Well Drip 25, which I know, Travis, you'll have in the notes.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we'll definitely put those in there, and I think I might use that code too. I really encourage everybody to come drip. It's something that I do fairly regularly myself, especially when I'm feeling like I just need some community. That's what's literally like I've made friends there. Every time I go there, I like meet somebody I become a friend with. So thank you so much for what you do, Daniel. I'm really excited. I think what you're doing in Asheville is one of the more special wellness related businesses and offerings to support the community and support those that visit us. And I feel like I honestly, if I were to say, is there a place that personifies Asheville and the best of Asheville, I really would give that award to you. So thank you for what you do, and thanks for being on the show today.
Chills. I got the chills, and I'm not even in the ice plunge. Thank you.
That's what we're going for, man.
Travis.
Visit drip-sauna.com to learn more and book your first session. But remember to use code DRIP25 to get 25% off. Drip offers a modern, luxurious way to sweat it out and recharge, whether you're a fitness lover, longevity seeker, or just looking to unwind. And as always, friends, please be well. You can catch the next episode while on your way up to visit Mount Mitchell, or cruising down I-26, or on your way to catch a nice sunset view over at the Black Balsam Knob. You can check out more Asheville wellness news and events and join our newsletter at bewellasheville.com. Thank you for being the best part of our wellness community. And until next time, be well.